Okay, one of the soundest arguments against the idea that Judaism follows the law and is only interested in quote-unquote mindless obedience to the law or ritualistic observances is found in the Book of Acts. As we all know, the Book of Acts was written after the alleged ascension and during the Christian era. So at this time, the apostles were no longer under quote-unquote Jewish law, but were apparently under Christian law, their own law. If they weren't under Christian law at this point in time, I don't have any idea when they were under Christian law. Because I would think that after the ascension, all the laws of Jesus would have been given, would have been dealt out, and you would have been able to figure out what the religion was, the religion of Christianity was. I mean, if you were figuring it out sometime in the 4th or 5th century, then it's really not about Jesus, is it? So I would think that in the Book of Acts, especially the late Book of Acts, the Christian religion should have already been established, if it is the same religion that was given to Jesus. So what do we have going here in the Book of Acts? We find that temple service was still in use, that the apostles were still going to the temple and still practicing quote-unquote Jewish rituals. The Book of Acts, chapter 21, verse 20 onwards. After hearing this, they praised God, and they said, "You know, dear brother," this is the apostles talking to Paul, "how many thousands of Jews have also believed, and they all follow the law of Moses very seriously. But the Jewish believers here in Jerusalem have been told that you're teaching Jews who live among the Gentiles to turn their backs on the law of Moses, and they've heard that you teach them not to circumcise their children or to follow Jewish customs. What should we do? They'll certainly hear that you have come." Now, what are these apostles telling Paul? They're telling him that these things the people in Jerusalem have heard about him are lies. In other words, he is still keeping Jewish law and teaching the Jews to keep Jewish law. So what do they tell him to do as a result of the people hearing that he is teaching people not to observe Jewish law, which apparently is a lie? Verse 23, "And here's what we want you to do. We have 4 men here who have completed their vow. Go with them to the temple and join them in the purification ceremony, paying for them to have their heads ritually shaved." What is that all about? This is about the very, very Jewish practice of the Nazarite vow. These men had taken a Nazarite vow, and they'd been abstaining from certain physical pleasures for a time, including wine, other alcoholic beverages, anything from the fruit of the tree, rather the fruit of the vine. And they have been doing this. They took a very Jewish vow, very Jewish practice, very Jewish ritual, and they were having their heads shaved. Where in the temple, in this particular court of the Nazarites, where the Nazarites have their heads shaved, very extremely Jewish. If you were to read the actual process of do an actual study on the Nazarite vow, what all it entailed, it's extremely Jewish, extremely. What is he doing? What is Paul doing in this chapter? Taking these people to fulfill a Jewish ritual. Okay. Why is he doing this? To prove that he is still observing Jewish practices. Then everyone will know that the rumors are all false and that you yourself observe Jewish laws. As for the Gentile believers, they should do what we already told them in a letter. They should abstain from eating food offered to idols, consuming blood, or the meat of strangled animals, and from sexual immorality. In other words, what are they saying here? The Gentile believers have a different and lesser law than the Jewish believers. The Jewish believers should continue to keep Jewish law, The Gentile believers have a smaller and lesser law. What does that sound like? Wow, Judaism and the 7 laws of Noah. So the belief that Judaism is somehow inferior because of our set of separate laws, and it's all ridiculous and absurd. So this is to Apologetics Man. Whereas you say that the Jewish religion is essentially a response to Christianity, I think it could be more accurately said that Christianity is a response to the destruction of the Jewish temple, and that modern Christianity, especially Christianity as we know it today, only exists because of a feeling of inadequacy among these people, that their Messiah was dead, they'd lost all hope, the temple where they had been practicing has now been destroyed, therefore they created what is now modern Christianity. Especially the myth of the virgin birth did not show up in Christian literature until the 3rd or 4th century. Very interesting if you were to read the history of the church. Yeah. Something to read up on. I think that's all for this video. Thanks. God bless.